What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the CraniumCast podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today's episode is going to be a little different because I can't really go out and record an episode with people. I'm going to try and do something online where I record one online maybe, and I want to experiment, get some group ones and not just one person, and kind of seeing how those flow and how those feel. But today's episode is just me, and it's currently 2:42 a.m. I kind of wanted to get this out, or at least try and record it. I wrote a lot of stuff down yesterday around 5 a.m., so we'll see how dumb it sounds, but I tried to write things out so that way in this episode there wasn't as many dull moments and as many moments of me going and things like that. But we'll see, and hopefully it still sounds okay for you guys to listen to. But a little bit of backstory, I was thinking about, what to write about, and I went on a rant about trying to write about being open-minded and other things, and it didn't feel natural. I've been writing and trying to manage a good little essay for this episode, and, nothing felt sincere to me, I guess, or something that I was passionate about, or that was on my mind heavily, something that I feel like I had a lot to say about. But I don't know what it is I've been so caught up in recently. It's either growing up or change, and I think all three of these things, open-mindedness too, or being open-minded, they all fall kind of together, and mainly it all has to do with change, because the part about growing up is that changes come with it. It's not growing up that stinks sometimes, for the most part, or at least right now. It's the changes that are packaged with it. Every so often, or at least once a year, a big change has happened that I hate, and I'm not a fan of it at all. They may be changes I needed, or just things that happened, but in the moment I never wanted them to. And that's because complacency, I think. Complacency is such a bad thing that we fall into as people. As people, we finally find a rhythm and something good, and a good routine to fall into, and then bam, something's different. So, a new change has messed up our routine, and it isn't comfortable because it's not what we're used to. I had a lot of these, and I'll have plenty more. Everybody does, and I'm sure every one of you can think of anything like that in your life. It's a part of it. But learning to accept these are hard, and it's tough. It's not something that everyone wants to kind of accept, but they help you so much once you learn to kind of embrace change, or get comfortable being uncomfortable in, most situations. Or at least, it does help me. I like to think that a lot of things that I go through, a lot of other people do to an extent. I'm sure there's somebody else going through it, so I try to make sure that I'm relatable, or I try to be. If not, then at least this is something for me. So, I hate it though. Change is hard. I'm a head case, it feels like, about a lot of things. I mean, a lot. I get in my head a lot, and once I start overthinking things, it's just really bad, whether it comes to sports, social things, my life in general. I'm left to thinking about something on my mind for a while, and it's bad because I'm bound to not stop thinking about it till something comes to take my mind off of it. I think that's what quarantine's kind of been kind of rough with lately. I've just been left to being by myself and to thinking a lot. I'll probably overthink and freak out, or think of a million what-ifs and hypotheticals. I'm a mess sometimes with that, and I'm trying to work on it and work on controlling it, but at the end of the day, I'm just a kid, and I don't have all the answers, and I have a lot of growing up to do. I was listening to a sermon, and the preacher said something like this: change is inevitable, and things that worked 5 years ago may not work now. And it was really interesting to me when I heard that. And the time I heard that, I was going through something, and someone in my life had just left that I was a big mentor to me, I felt like. But he goes, God has a plan for us, and we may not need to be where we are at this point in time, but us as people, sometimes we're scared. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be going through what we're going through, or we're selfish and think that, I don't want this, and I want to avoid it if it's possible. I've been left to think about the immense amounts of change I've had in the past few months, and the crazy amount the world is going through over the past few weeks. The list is, huge. Anywhere from finding out about my brain tumor, having the actual surgery, taking time off of school, high school to college in general, not seeing some of my closest friends I felt like I had, or losing friends, or moving out from home. And, being honest, I've thought about these a lot lately. This has been a big point in my life right now where I've had a lot of time to think about things because I was already out of school because of surgery. And now that quarantine's happening, I feel like I'm just resting again from surgery. But now that I can do things, it's like there's no one around to do them with even more than there was before. And it's really hard, I feel like, not to get caught up in those kind of things because it's scary. It stinks. And it's not always easy to think about the big picture and to think that, especially, if I don't want to push anything on anyone, but I'm a Christian. I'm fairly religious. And I trust that there's a plan for me. I never really freaked out about my tumor to begin with or my cancer. And it's because of this. And that's just been something that's always been on my mind is I trust that God will take care of me. And yet I struggle with other things though. And I struggle with people. And I struggle freaking out about, does this person like me? Does these things need to happen? Am I a good person? Things like that. And it's not that you should just trust, not that you shouldn't be proactive. You definitely need to you have a lot of trust and have faith, in my opinion. But you can't stop controlling what you can control. It's kind of like people who are like, if, as a hypothetical, if someone were to walk into oncoming traffic and be like, if God's real, he'll save me, or if he cares, whatever. It's like, no, like, just don't walk in front of a car either. Like, there's things you can control. But anyways, I don't mean to get off on a little tangent. I've been so nostalgic due to thinking about these things a lot. Memories that pop up on social media, my memories on Snapchat from a year ago or years ago, and I'll remember that instance and the good memories associated with it, and I'll miss it because I'm not where I want to be right now. I pray I'm at least where I need to be, though. I miss high school a lot because it was easier. The times were so good, and I was used to it. I got in a routine. I already had a good group of friends established, and it only felt like, if anything, I was adding more. But then I graduated, and I split from that routine into a new one, and from my group of friends into a new location with different people. And over the summer, it didn't feel like a big deal because we were all somewhat close, and we had that last summer to have a great time. And then when school hit, it all kind of was changing. I worry a lot that people I care about a lot and I miss from school or just seeing so often are just seasonal. That's where complacency scares me because I've grown attached to these people or things. A lot of times I think the truth is that my older friends are my friends, but with us being apart, I'm not going to be in contact with them as often as I'd like because they have lives too. And I've really only gotten like this because of my surgery, and I've had tons of time to myself, and I don't always remember that they don't, and that they didn't take time off school for things like this. And they have schoolwork, and they have their own friends at their college. Not that I'm not one of them, but they can't interact with me as often as they can them, and they can't give me the same kind of attention that I used to have or interaction. But that's something that crosses my mind a lot because sometimes I worry about if I annoy people or if I question people's genuineness. I question how much they actually care. And I never know. It's hard to tell a lot of times because people aren't always the easiest to read. At least for me, maybe I'm just not the right person to do it. But there's people I've had that I feel like in the moment they were very nice and they were very sweet and they were good people when I was around them. But the minute there was distance or the minute school was over in other situations, they weren't there. And that doesn't mean that they don't care, but it's crazy how people can change and not everyone in your life is going to be there forever. And so I'm worried that I'm worried about the next time that someone I really care about is going to be gone. I've really only gotten like this after surgery, and I've had a lot of time to just overthink, and me being the head case I am, sometimes it happens. It's funny though, because when I was writing the other essay on being open-minded for this episode, I feel a lot of it and those principles are applicable here too, and things I failed or don't always recognize. I'm afraid of not having another group of friends like those in the past. I've had a good few groups of friends. Most recently, it's been the people I spent my senior year in high school with, and my wrestling friends. And as they are starting to graduate now, the rest of my wrestling friends, and they're going to decide where they want to go to college at. I don't know how much more I'll see them after that. Friend groups in the past, from the beginning of high school that I had all the way through high school, I don't see as much anymore. Distant friends from middle school that I was somewhat in contact with. And it's not that a lot for all these groups, pretty much. It's not that everyone just hates each other now. It's just kind of that we've just grown apart over the years, and not that any of us hate each other. Like I said, we just grew up and aren't as close anymore. Everyone has different schedules, and everyone's doing something different now. It's saddening to think about sometimes, but that's bound to happen when you think about things as much and you live in the past. I need to be more focused on a lot of things right now, and I need to be focused on the present. Aside from the pandemic the world is facing, I'm in college these years, and these are supposed to be some like crazy good ones. Everyone talks about how crazy their college years were, especially if they didn't enjoy high school. And I'm making a transferring colleges just because I didn't feel like I fit the mold at the one I was at, and maybe it wasn't for me. But now I'm worried. I get worried that I'm not going to find a place I fit in at, and I'm worried maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I did this, or now I worry about transferring. If I would have just stuck it out longer, maybe it would have eventually got better. But you can't like hope for things like that and just be living on a prayer or holding on to just a little bit of hope. I write these thoughts out, and I have these podcasts to try and help grow people. And I say grow people, but I'm included in that. These are mainly for myself. A lot of these topics are issues I struggle with or think about a lot, and if I sit down and talk about it and get the brain juices going and the cranium starts cranking, I don't know what was a good one there, but I think sometimes I'm bound to find an answer and to come to some kind of self-conclusion, and it's kind of therapeutic, I guess. Maybe that's why I do it. But I do hope that if there's anyone who has similar thoughts, that these can be beneficial for you in a way. I try to be a good guy and a good friend, and I definitely have my moments where I'm not, and some days I feel like I do well, and others I feel like I fail, but that's a part of it. And like being open-minded, like I wrote about, I want to learn and grow from my mistakes and shortcomings to be a better person, and it takes time, and it isn't always anything that comes naturally, but I seek for change, for the best, and I want to be the best Justin I can be. I don't want to be a bad friend, and in the past, I think at times I've learned to take things for granted. But right now I've realized, I'm hoping that this pandemic teaches everyone, and including me, everyone learns to have a new sense of gratitude towards things, and they're not taking as much stuff for granted, and they learn to be more appreciative and notice the little things in life and the little blessings you get here and there. I'm hoping I can. I want to make sure I do, because there's a lot of good that's still happening in my life, and just because I'm going through a few little things doesn't mean I have to act like it's the worst thing in the world. Maybe everyone doesn't agree, but imagine how more, I'm sorry. I brain farted a little bit. Maybe everyone doesn't agree that I'm trying to seek a lot of growth for myself. I feel like sometimes when I say that kind of stuff, maybe I come across, people are just like, no, you haven't changed at all. You're the same Brad I met years ago, or you're the same goofy kid. You're not much different. But imagine how much worse I'd be if I didn't. I recognize that there's not always things I'm good at, and I have my own moments of weakness, or I can be annoying, or this and that, but I try. I don't know everything, and I may do the wrong thing, and it's not bad all the time when you do wrong things. Everyone's bound to make mistakes eventually, but it's bad that you don't learn from it, because now you're just going to do it again. People fall into these routines, and they're not learning from their mistakes, and a lot of times people aren't open-minded to learning that, and that's something I was talking about. It's okay to make mistakes. Even, we'll make good ones and small ones, but as individuals, we need to seek to improve, and so we don't continually repeat the same things, not only impact our life but potentially others in negative ways. I think a lot of times if people come across the wrong way, people become very close-minded to opening up and thinking that they've done wrong in the first place, and they aren't willing to change, or they think that they can't do wrong. And it's a lot of pride, and it's a lot of having stubborn attitudes, and it's sucky. Everyone has those moments. I have those moments where I'm just like, no, this is the truth. But I try to be open-minded to everything. And so a lot of times now, what I'll try to do is, if me and someone disagree on something, or if there's something that's up for debate, I have a talk. I like to talk. I want to pick your brain. I want to understand why you think that. But during these times, coronavirus is crazy right now. I think this will be definitely something that people will remember for years, and people will learn about in the future. And I pray that it goes away soon, not only just so I can resume my life, but for the safety of others. But I know there's a reason for, I don't want to say there's a reason for these things going on, but there's something I can take away from it. There's a lesson to be learned. There's something that I can grow from, and I can't just let, I don't have to, you don't have to let these kind of things just weigh you down all the time. It's really easy to, but trying to keep a good attitude, and remember that you can control what you control, being, your attitude and your effort, and trying to think of find the little things in these times, find the little good things that everyone's going through. Call someone, tell them you love them. But I try to keep a good head on my shoulders. I don't want to freak out, and I know that these times suck, and I pray they go away, and there's a bigger plan for all of us than just what I want. There's a bigger plan for me than what I want or what I think. Change happens, and getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, like I said earlier, or not just being so tunnel visioned, not trying, and people not trying new things or approaches is bad. And learning to get uncomfortable, or get comfortable being uncomfortable, and trying new things, and looking out and expanding your mind, and just growing and saying, hey, like I didn't know this, but I'm willing to learn, or I want to know how other people react to things, and maybe I don't have the best answer all the time. That's a good attitude, I think, to have. But having your own opinions, I don't want to get that confused with people being sheep and following others, but understanding that there's more to life than just you. I don't know how good of a job I do at these things when it comes to being open-minded all the time. And I'm willing to accept that maybe I'm not the most. I'm sure I'm not in some things. But I have my strengths and my weaknesses. And I hope that I can limit my weaknesses a lot, and I can improve on them to become a better person. But I don't know. Only time will tell. And it's going to take forever to get there. But there's just kind of been something that's on my mind a lot right now. And I hope it's something that you guys can relate to or enjoy. But if not, thanks for at least tuning in if you made it this far. I appreciate every episode you guys watch. Seeing one, I think my most viewed one has 50 listens or 50 views, whatever. I'm slowly going to work on getting these out on other platforms. I'm just kind of lazy. I need to get there, and I need to work on it. My Wi-Fi is not the best, but having you guys tune into these podcasts every episode, every week, whenever I upload them, it means a lot, and it's good to know that hopefully they help somebody. And if people listen, when I hear people telling me they listen to them all the way, or having someone Snapchat me and show me that they're listening to it, it warms my heart. I really appreciate it when you guys do that. But you don't have to. I understand I'm just a dude, and I'm just a kid, and I don't always have the best answers for everything. And sometimes it probably gets annoying after a while just listening to me. But like I said, guys, thanks for joining me today. I hope that this was maybe a more entertaining talk, that I wrote things down. Maybe not. I know I have such a habit of going and things, and I say things like that a lot. But I'll wrap this episode up. I love you guys so much. I hope everyone's doing well. If you have any feedback, you have any topics, ideas, you want to be on the next podcast episode, leave a comment, reach out to me on whatever. Most people listening to this are like my friends and personal people that I know in real life. So hit me up wherever if you want to actually be on, and we'll figure it out. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next episode.